Aha. Now let's check audio. Test, test. Perfect. All right, good morning. Got the Kingbull Discover 2. This bike, I would say, if you know what the top brand in the US is, um, and it's 26x4 version, this is meant to be the competitor for that. I did agree to review the bike, ran into some troubles with their original controller, and so they agreed to send out a speed controller that replaced the original. So what I'll say is very pleased with the bike. The battery measured up, and we were happy with the range, utilizing the microtoll constant, but the factory setup was not correct. However, they have the aftermarket speed controller as well at a cost of like $50. So you order that when you order the bike, I think that brings you in at like 1400, and suddenly it feels good. This aftermarket throttle, it's already installed, allows the bike to go to 28 miles an hour on throttle only, so it unlocks the paths. Of course, you'll have to follow your legal limits in your area, federal standards, class 1, 2, 3, etc. The big deal is we're going to install this dual battery. I just strapped this on here for the thumbnails, so there was something for you guys to see. I like this. The tolerance is really thin right here, so regardless, it works. We'll be able to get it in. Removal actually will consist of the straps. So you just undo the straps and pull them. Is that fully secure to the bike, like lock and key? No, but it's a pain in the butt. And generally speaking, none of us are doing this without having our bikes in sight. I understand that concern. Welcome to try and lock it down to the rear rack, all of the goodies. The kit going in will extend out, and all you'll need to do is get your extension up to the rear rack versus having it right here. It's almost looking like this cable for the battery is, I mean, it's right at the housing, which means likely I'm going to have to run an extension out, or the balancer is close to the window, or extension cables, but like pack the slack inside the compartment. Regardless, this is what Sunday morning is going to consist of. I'm going to get the bike turned around. I'm still honing in on this live thing, so you guys let me know what's going on in the world. I have the computer behind me, and I'll be checking in from time to time. E-Bike Ronnie, I agree. If the sun peaks over the tree, I'm gonna pull out my umbrella, so you guys be prepared for that too. I guess take off these batteries to get rid of the weight. Damon, how you doing, bud? Let's chat. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna have to remove the crank on this, the crank arm anyway. I hope not. If I remember correctly, there is room. There's been a lot of stuff going on, especially with wired. So it's been a hectic past few days. Sorry for the bounciness. I need a cameraman, honestly. Actually, I just need to get better. I need to study the art of it. Scott Hardesty says I need to work on my thumbnails, and I promptly said yes, you're right, because they do suck. There's a lot of so much to this YouTube thing that you never even think of. It's a pain in the butt. And all I really want to do is work on bikes. The best days are when I'm in the shop with Brad, and I mean, it's being there, but oftentimes like being behind the camera um, sucks because I want to catch perspective, but I also just want to do it. You guys probably see me like reach for something and I have to slap my own hand. Joey, good morning, sir. Yeah, getting the alpha step through and high step. I'm hoping to bring Scott Hardesty down, put him up in an Airbnb, and then we go up and down the trail. From where I'm at, across the Clearwater Bridge is like the best, 20 plus 20 mile an hour run to come all the way back. So you go down with the standard, catch the ride, and come back with B-roll. It's plus 20 miles. If we really want to do it, we try and push it all the way to St. Pete and then come back. I think that's 40. Yep, and this has got to come off. Yeehaw! I remember now. I was trying to do it before without pulling it off. So I think the biggest difference right away, which will turn into a severe talking point, is the sound coming from the wired bikes. A lot of people like reference like speed cars or whatever, but like the distinct exhaust sound, like everyone knows what a charger is going to sound like. They know what a charger with a supercharger is going to sound like. And to me, what's coming off of wired right now is that it's a very just like the Nissan G series or the Infinities actually. Sorry, those things and that noise. It just like that's what it does for me. I'm just like, this thing is so sick. I like hearing it, just revving. It's like revving a car under a bridge or something. It's just unbelievable. But with Magician, you've got this situation where if you're talking about stealth is stealth and you want to be as stealthy as you can be, you can't get better than a Bafang setup. That's what I believe. I saw that thing on a Tomberlin, e-bike. It was like the 26. Y'all should look this up while I'm telling you about it. And it was a Bafang 2-speed and had an automatic transmission inside the motor, and it was belt driven. That thing was so sick. It was unbelievable. Watt Hustle, that's an awesome name. I like that. Good morning. Brad, what do you mean? What do you mean when you rode a bike with a vacant motor? Okay. And that's loaded. So that install. So the limiting factor here, so far as I can tell, is the length of this connection here on the controller. So that's something to consider. I think we've got plenty of room. All that goes back behind. The controller doesn't go full depth, so there is a big space behind it. So that's where your wiring should lead to. Now we're just kind of looking at this stuff. I know I pushed back the XT60 for the controller, but right now what I want, this. Oh, buffet. Was it a mid? Was it a mid motor? Hey, Watt Hustle. This is a Park Tools bike stand. Uh, PRS2, I think. I don't remember exactly. I've quoted so many, but it's old, decommissioned. Look for the dual repair stand on parktools.com. It's got this steel plate on the bottom, and I moved the stones to weight it down so I can get it out of the way for thumbnails, because those are important. Oh yeah, we're fine. Okay, there's that. This will be on the bottom. There's a gap. All right, perfect. See if I can get this XT. Actually, I'll just show you guys so you know. This one is the mod controller for 28 on throttle and PAS. Um, Still the same current as the other one, 48 volts. So that's how we judge the balancer. And all this thing is not meant for 40 amps continuous, by the way. You just keep that in mind. A lot of people ask, but it was sized accordingly with the wire gauges and gives the max. The 30 amp version for manufacturing standards was the same pricing for the 40 amp. That was a business decision. So we're going to take the balancer, plug it into the port for the controller. It can only fit one way. You have two battery inputs. And then I just ran this one. You saw me run the cable just a moment ago. I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. Let's give it juice. It's on. Has one. Throttle. There we go. You guys see it. How's my butt? There you go. What I'm trying to do right now is just maintain a battery connector on the outside of things. And I know it looks like a mess for you guys, but all I'm doing is threading it in between what is the power connection here and then the one on the bottom. And then I'm using that space that I told you about in the backside. And I'm doing it, I need to watch this connection, make sure that none of them come loose before I close it up. That ain't gonna fly. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I nicked this cable pushing it down and over. It's not penetrated, but I don't want that to be a problem. And it's perfectly lengthed right now, so it's going in the same place. Now I'm out. There we go. So I just shove that right up through that opening right there. Easy E, good morning. Thank you, sir. So this plate cover, there's a gasket on it, which I'm appreciative of. It's counterintuitive though. I mean, I guess, right, it seals here, but there's no backing inside the plate that holds it. So it's honorary, but it does hit the face of the frame here. I can actually feel it when I press it. There's a gap. But A for effort. I'm falling in love with the live videos because I don't have to edit them. It is way susceptible to problems though. When you just aren't expecting a thing to happen and it happens and maybe you don't have the part or you can't do it, or it's like, well, all right guys, talk to you later. And then it sits in the YouTube feed, and if anybody searches it and they find the video and it just cuts off on them, they're left holding the bag, which I don't like that either. So this was almost a guarantee. I'd seen it on the controller install. Of course, I wasn't playing when I didn't remember. I've been in so many bikes. But as soon as I saw it, I remembered having to take the crank arm off. Like other bikes, I've been able to, like the Hemiways that are, you know, they have the mid-drive casing where they're putting the controllers, but you can swap it out. Those you can just swing the plate, making it much easier. These are cracked. Look at that. don't know if I did that or not. Maybe. Only way to tell is probably just go back in video, but that's a probability. I think it may have just like I pushed in when it was off camera with another bike near it. All right, make sure these are opposite. There's the precision torque wrench. Okay. A minute to get all these tools together and all this stuff. Damon, it's plastic, composite. I would like metal, honestly. I like that with the wires, but there's no seal on them. So either way, I'm almost positive I did it. Okay. All right, so practice makes perfect. I use this setup a lot across a lot of bikes. It's just super convenient. These are the bike case bottle cage strap adapters. Now newer battery plates are showing fit here. So we'll offset this and there will be like the end of the mount down here. And what I've been doing is moving this to the last hole in the newer plates and then turning it around so it extends far down this backside, the solid state side where in other bikes the controller is, and then finalizing that with a doubled up e-bike strap, and it's just as solid as I need it to be. Regardless, you're going to need some panhead or more shallow screws. These are M5s to fit here, and then I use the factory screw here on the bottom one, or the one, actually, if you move it up and it's underneath the battery like so, then you'll need a panhead screw for both this strap and the one in the bottom. I'm just going to key it on because that makes it a single unit. I'm going to set it on here. All right, these are really like just for guidance up front, and they help to hold, especially with the steeper down tube. There we go. Now, what I was telling you is this is just 2 straps put together. I looped it back, took in a little bit of the slack, and then here's full extent. Bring it in right about there. And then this is the one that's really holding it down. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay. Since we're here, we're going to go through all of the tests. I've become quite accustomed to not doing preliminary tests before putting all this stuff back together. Shame on me, and that's the way the videos go out. So if people don't watch them all the way through, they don't get the warning. So right now, I'm just going to get the keys. Hey, Brad and Joey, where do you guys keep your keys for your bikes? You make separate key rings and label them and do all this stuff, or you just put them on your bikes? Plug this in. That'll stay there. All right. For anyone who might question my authenticity, here's the factory battery. Here's the second battery. You know it's out. It is on. There's throttle. All right, so second port works. First port, now we know we have a good connection. Keys back. Go. Yeah. Tidy helper cable clip time. Oh yeah, That Alpha, like Ben from the Bike Cave, he did a pretty thorough run on it. Of course, you know I'm going to open it up. What I'd really like to do is get a bench tester, like, but the quality that's needed for that kind of load is just, it's like, a new one is just over $10,000. And then the reality is, I found that the Michael Toll constant is pretty worthwhile. So if you just stretch these batteries out on a good extensive 20-mile run, you'll know by voltage when you come back with a dual battery setup whether it's working. So for that, I'll pull the controller. Of course, we'll look for that, make sure that it's spec'd correctly. What I found with the wireds is that the 5000 is undercut. There's a lot more. Yeah, it's one of the bigger issues with the XPs is keeping the keys on the bike. I feel you. I do not. Scott has a pretty interesting. He has a labeled key set and this rail that he uses, and that is specifically fit for the keychain. And I thought that was nice. So what I'm going to do is just zip tie this thing right here, and that'll be that. I'm working on a way, trying to anyway, seeing about doing this and then being able to pick up the phone and go on a ride. But right now, the best I've found is being on a Wi-Fi network. The GoPro that I have, the 360, it will go live from chess, but it doesn't have. I don't have the ability to preload it, I guess. Maybe I do. I wonder if I can. No, because you have to create the instance inside the camera and the GoPro app. Anyway, I've been considering it a lot, right? Because now you just kind of want to know, how does it feel? The reason I like this setup so much is because it puts all the weight right down the center of gravity. That's where you want it. Voila. Well, there it is. You guys keep in mind I only use one cable, so the other one I just wrapped up and put back with all the extras. However, you'll have another cable to help run up to your rear rack if you want to do that. And then there are other extensions that will work as well. and beat the sun. I'm pretty happy about that. Holy cow. Let me check this chat. Yeah. All right, guys. I appreciate you coming through. This is an easy one, honestly. Don't break your plate. Don't over tighten the screws on the gasket. This is, where are we at right now? 4820 on 17 and a half, I believe. So payload capacity is at 400. Battery anywhere from 10 to 12 pounds, I would guess, or less. So that's good. Frame rider up to 6.5, maybe. No. Battery's 15 amp hour. So we're going to do the math on this. So it's 15 plus 20, which is this battery. You guys, you don't have to use this amp hour. You can use any amp hour you want. Just make sure it has the correct XT60, and then the BMS can handle the 22 amps current limit of the controller. So that gives you 35. We're going to multiply that by 48. And you get 1,680 watt hours. We're going to divide that by 25. And 25 is the Mica toll constant. It says it's 25 watt hours per mile ridden at 20 miles an hour throttle only. And you get, oh, 67.2. That's, of course, I'm going to tell you, get a suspension seat post, get whatever works for you. I know that bike case and the Cloud9 combo is where it's at. I use it on everything. I have an assortment of shims, and I just pull and push on the bikes after I get done original rides, etc. So those are the recommendations. Assortment of bags. I would want to raise this. The posture pushes me over the top. But with the battery, the value of this bike is well worth it, so far as I can tell. Customer service remains to be seen. I hope they do what they should do to compete in this market space. That's that. All right, guys. The computer has died. I need to go in anyway. We will talk to you next time. Oh yeah, Joey. Here, this is what I'll do. I'll release and go with the phone. Hopefully you guys are still here. So yes, 100 miles, but that calculation was done with the C coefficient for 72. So keep that in mind. The original, like the main testing data that Micatol used was for 48. There, it does cross over into 52 because they share a large range of the voltage spectrum for both bikes. But you want to keep that in mind. There's a reason why they're not saying it's 100 miles on the website. There's a lot to be considered, and frankly, PAS 1 on these things for the wireds is 20 miles an hour. So be wary of that. I think with the torque sensor and the right settings, you could get it to 20 easy on PAS 1, and that's nuts. So I did the calculation when talking to Brad. I screwed up in that video as well. Talking about the charger, I had been going over the fast charger for electric, and I just had it on the brain. I think I even did it in the unboxing video. And I saw, I would just see the 5 amps on a quick look just to remind myself, like a cue card, and failed. So that's what was going on there. But either way, 3.5, it only pushes the charge time up by an hour for each calculation. And regardless, I'm typically running an overnight charge. I don't waste my time monitoring this stuff. I do come out. I don't want to leave them plugged in, but I'm not just crazy vigilant like you see some people. Some people are putting timers or doing all this stuff, which I would understand in an apartment complex, etc. But yeah, there you go. Alpha, I'm looking forward to it, Joey. I really am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna get out of here. This turned out very clean. I'm gonna take it for a Sunday morning ride, or it's probably Sunday afternoon right now, and then just reaffirm what I felt with the controller, the replacement controller, and being able to throttle 28. The value is all the way there, even if you have to pay for the second one. But regardless, good bike. All right, we'll talk to you.